Did you go to a private or a public school?
I went to a public school.
Do you feel like that public school prepared you to succeed in college and beyond?
Not at all.
In what way?
Because they didn't teach us how to study, and they only really cared if you passed the class, not for actually learning your information and stuff. So.
Do you feel like you learned any valuable skills?
No, not really. Figured it out on myself, kind of.
What did you find most beneficial about being in high school?
Definitely being independent. I didn't really rely on anyone.
What would you have changed about your college experience?
My college experience?
Your high school experience.
I would say I wish I studied more and for my tests, because I didn't do that.
For the future, would you send your child to a private or a public school?
Public school. Because private school is way too expensive and public school is free.
Did you go to a private or a public school?
I went to a public school.
Do you feel like your high school prepared you to succeed in college and beyond?
I think it did. I got a pretty good experience from my teachers and the faculty, and I think that the lessons that I learned in the curriculum was all pretty much standard stuff.
Did high school prepare you socially for college?
I think it definitely prepared me socially. I went to a very diverse high school. My class, there was about 550 people, and so I really met people from all walks of life. So I have experience, interacting with people with different experiences than myself.
Do you feel like you learned valuable skills in high school?
I do, especially the social skills, like I was saying. I think that, being an adult, just going into the the next stage of my life I think that I was definitely prepared for that.
Did price play a role in not attending a private school?
It wasn't really price. It was kind of just socially. My friends were going to public schools. The same elementary school to middle school to high school was all kind of just the one direct path that most of my friends and most of the people in my community went with.
What would you have changed about your academic experience?
I think that the biggest thing is, I don't know if I would change it, but just a consequence of having so many people is that with the faculty and with things like the guidance office and the student affairs, when I'm trying to get something done or when I need to go to the office, it sometimes feels like a bit of a standstill. There's not always somebody there to be able to get something done since we have such a large class, especially senior year and going through the applying process and the everything like that. It's not as hands-on as it would be with a smaller school.
Would you send your child to a private or a public school?
Depending on probably the price and the location of where I'm living or whatever, and depending on the social aspects in the community that I'm in, I think that public school is a perfectly fine thing to send my own child to. I think that I would probably go to a public school, go towards that route, unless it was a far better option.
Did you go to a private or a public school?
I went to a private school.
Do you feel like that private school prepared you for college?
In some ways, yes, but majority, no.
Do you feel like you learned valuable skills in high school?
In high school, I do think I learned valuable skills and leadership and communication within my community. I would say in student government or with my teammates.
What did you find most beneficial in high school?
In high school, I found that making relationships with even teachers, administrators, or within my peer group was pretty important to do just about anything, since I was involved in a lot of leadership opportunities within my school.
What would you have changed about your academic experience?
Within my academic experience, I think that I would change would be the fact that I would have studied more, because I typically did not study at all for any exams, tests, or anything. I would just go off with my brain, and I can't do that in college now.
Would you send your child to a private or a public school?
Public school.